Well, hey folks, it's your old pal King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. Hit like and subscribe. So last night, the first trailer for the Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves trailer came out. I watched it upon awakening this morning, and I fully expected to be like, okay, well, I guess I'll have like a whole litany of complaints and stupidities to point out in it. But, you know, overall, as the trailers go, it wasn't all that bad looking. Certainly seemed a lot more earnestly made than any of the previous Dungeons and Dragons movies, and they seem to actually have gone to the trouble of making sure that the creatures featured within it are actually match what the IP looks like. Albeit that Hasbro has their hands all over this, lends itself to that quite a bit. I'm sure they want to be able to sell toys and little figurines and all sorts of stuff based on the stuff that's branded out of Dungeons and Dragons. So we saw, you know, an owlbear, displacer beast, you know, the classic treasure chest mimic, and the dragons actually looked like how dragons are depicted in D&D products and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it looked better than Rings of Power. Not that that's saying all that much. It's a pretty low bar, but I don't know. The thing is while there's certainly a vested interest amongst a certain segment of YouTube to make a big deal out of anything wrong with any movie made by any studio nowadays, because that's their bread and butter, because YouTube, well, I guess I wouldn't say all of YouTube, but there's a significant chunk of YouTube whose viewing audience mainly just seems to want to sit around all day and listen to people complain about movies that they may or may not have even bothered watching themselves. And, you know, I'm sure if I was just purely looking at it from an audience perspective, you know, I might find more things to nitpick. The thing is here is that those of us who've actually written role-playing game products have a little bit of a vested interest in seeing this movie succeed. Now, they want to launch a whole franchise off this thing. They want tons of D&D movies. It's Hasbro. They would like another big hit, like, you know, another Transformers. And considering like how bad those movies are, and yet how successful they were, you know, there's a certain level of like this D&D show could be complete and total ass, and yet still make a lot of money. It just depends on how much this renaissance of D&D that's occurred in the last few years it actually really holds, or if it's just kind of a flash in the pan kind of thing. The fact that Chris Pine is playing a bard, I found actually, bards really are kind of a undersold class when it comes to being a natural team leader. So that's, that's a thing that I don't necessarily disapprove of. The tiefling girl, well, I guess get ready we're going to have a whole new generation of adolescent boys who are really hot for tieflings after this, probably. Really not a whole lot about what the other characters are. There's some short little chick who fights, and there's some sort of vaguely Middle Eastern looking guy who fights, and we got a black wizard, and yeah, I mean, there's really no complaints on that front. I mean, casting's casting. Hopefully they do a good job. At least I recognize a few of them, so it's not like they've just been pulled out of a hat entirely. But, if it succeeds and does well, with the comic book movie trend kind of flagging a bit as of late, and audiences feeling a little burned out, and the fact that there's still, the success of Game of Thrones, and whatever the upcoming Rings of Power ends up being, and all that, there is still, there's room to grow within the fantasy film genre, and D&D is just as good a brand as any to hang that upon. The important part is that they actually take it seriously and make good movies and not total pieces of shit. And unfortunately, since this is a trailer, there's no way to really tell. Bad movies can have good trailers, good movies can have bad trailers. But the reason why people who have written role-playing games need this to succeed, because if it does, then other studios might start sniffing around for other properties to adapt. And those of us who've written other properties that are not associated with Dungeons & Dragons or the D20 rule system might have a chance to, maybe get picked up by somebody. Cyberpunk has already had its video game, and I'm not sure if that's going to leverage it in, Artal Saurian into doing anything else in terms of, properties that are turned into film and television. Maybe, maybe not. Cyberpunk 2077's launch was certainly a flub, and even though the game has recovered a lot, in the year plus since it's been out. That initial taste in the mouth is still there. Obviously, you're never going to have a GURPS game. Years and years and years ago, Palladium had tried to make some sort of deal with Jerry Bruckheimer to make a Riffs movie, but I mean, that's a tall order in and of itself. Riffs would probably make a better TV series, so you can like kind of chop it up and focus on smaller pieces to build the world instead of trying to cram all of that into one 2.5 hour long nightmare of confusion. I can certainly see some of the stuff I've written, like Escape from Planet Matriarchy. That'd easily be a trauma movie. Lady Spy Detective could be a kind of Mad Men-esque kind of a tongue-in-cheek thriller TV series, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you know, on a very cynical level, I have reason to hope this movie succeeds. But whether or not it's any good, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The trailer, though, was better than I was expecting. I was really had the thought that before watching is like, well, I guess I'll just have like some long lumbering thing going, it's so woke and that's not right, and where they use the owlbear is incorrect, and I mean, albeit there is the impression I get from that trailer that the tiefling is a druid since they show her shape-shifting into shit at one point. So I guess there's that. I don't know. I'm sure you hate it, and so just take whatever I'm saying. Just ignore my actual words and just pretend I'm just saying that this is all terrible, and you should hate it and boycott it. Even though that's not really actually my opinion at all. I'm willing to give it a chance. I mean, hell, I still kind of have that kind of like bad movie affection for the Jeremy Irons D&D movie, and this certainly looks like it's better than that one so far. Guess we'll have to wait for more trailers and more teasers for trailers and trailers for trailers, and then finally the movie will come out. So stupid. Oh well, anyway, I guess that's it. Stop watching. Why are you watching this?